All right, everybody, welcome to today's call. It is Friday. I say all the time, my favorite day of the week because we have sales training. Friday, July 19th of 2019. This is the Realty Classroom sales training call. My voice is a little bit beaten up, lots of talking this week, including fresh off of a listing presentation before the call, going to one after the call. So nothing like having somebody in front of you that does what you do and is empathetic to the challenges. I did want to start off the call by saying we had something happen interesting on the mastermind yesterday where we were teaching marketing in a funnel, but it relates to sales to this extent that in sales, one of the most important thing is to position yourself correctly, okay? Meaning when you walk into a sales, I heard this great line long ago that if your marketing is good enough, there's nothing to sell. And so what does that mean? I mean, it's a little bit of a dramatic demonstration of a point that if you can telemarket, for example, who you are and what you're all about, you put yourself in a position before you ever arrive in a house or you ever meet a buyer in the field. There's a lot of positioning. And that's a word that is really foundational when it comes to marketing, positioning. And it's not talked enough about in sales because the salesperson needs to position themselves correctly so that when they arrive in the context of the moment to sell the service or to put themselves in a position to compete, positioning really matters. And so I want to bring that up today because where you really start your positioning conversation in your head is the ability to answer the most global question we get asked, and that's how's the market? And so what I find is that a lot of real estate agents have never taken the time to do any sort of strategic planning whatsoever, let alone from a positioning standpoint. Meaning, if you decide to be a real estate professional in a particular area, then it is your job to position yourself in a very clear way as a real estate professional expert. Bless you. Allergies, right? Yeah. So the point is we are positioning ourselves as that expert, and you should all be able to answer in more detail than you do currently how the market is doing. Okay, it's very, very important you understand that because the marketplace is your general global sphere of where you're supposed to be intelligent in the context of real estate. So I definitely promote, and all my mastermind members have access to a very easy plug and play system where they can fill in the blanks, right? So that's the key. You want to fill in the blanks with these little bullet point answers to it. Now, of course, a full-blown understanding of the average price per square foot, inventory levels as measured in months supply. You should understand the basics of that. So there are some basics, and the 30-year fixed interest rate is, I think, something that's important as real estate professionals you should also be aware of, okay? So those are the things that really get you ready to be positioned as a real estate expert. And I think a lot of you are missing that. So when it comes into sales, I want you to be able to answer that question, how's the market? Because sellers want to know it. Buyers want to know it. Why? Because in their head, they're dealing with all their perceptions of how our industry works, and that's their knee-jerk reaction question. It's the same thing you would ask if you found out somebody was a stockbroker, okay? How's the stock market doing? So it's a natural inclination for people to ask that, and you definitely should be prepared to answer that question, okay? So let's be prepared to do so by talking about average price per square foot. Like I said, inventory, 30-year fixed rates, know those things and know them on a monthly basis so that you update them. And for all you mastermind members, if you weren't on the call yesterday, we talked about taking the infographic market update and plugging and playing, writing down some of the answers into this cheat sheet for your video script. If y'all want to see that, just head over to Griffin Realty Group page and you can go over there and take a look at where I am reading that very simple report to the screen. I know it's fancy because I have a green screen and there's all sorts of graphics. That's not the point. The point is having some understanding of the basics of how the market's doing. That's your positioning, so that when you walk into a presentation, you're confident. Look, I just got peppered with a bunch of questions from a friend of the folks I was meeting with. And because I am well studied in this, I was able to go in there and answer some of these questions. Okay. So that's what you want to pay attention to. All right. So I'm going to listen to some recordings today that Chris Egan, whose primary market is Louisville, Kentucky. He has sent me some recordings here from Kayla, and we're going to listen to those first and see how she sounds. We're going to go right after it. Now, of course, this call is for both outside sales and inside sales. So I want you all ready with questions. These calls are far better when you give me your questions and I deal with them. All right? Far better. So let me just get in here. I'm going to open up the microphones. And Kayla, I'm looking for you, okay? Let me know if you're there, Kayla, so I know
I'm here.
All right.
I am here.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Let me just see. Welcome. Say that one more time so I see your line.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Gotcha. First one. I just was looking for your line online. I have to play like the soundboard manager, Kayla. Sorry about that. So, all right,
That's okay.
Yeah, let's go into this. So anything you want to tell me about these calls before we get in there?
Not really. I'm, trying to improve with each call. Chris gave me some feedback at the end of my first week about going deeper. So depending on which one it is, it may not be as good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen.
Hopefully they've improved over the 2 weeks. Hopefully.
Yeah. Cool. No sweat. Well, of course they will. I mean, look, the key is to be patient for process here. I think that's important, and we'll see what deeper means. I don't like the advice to just go deeper. I want to know why he's saying that. And again, he's probably on the road still. He's traveling, but I want to see what that means. All I'm interested in is what Autumn so adeptly put together yet again for me, so that I was able to go into this house today well prepared. And that is really a lot to do with their timing and motivation. Why are they doing this at all? What's going on there? So that when I arrive at that house, I can be the best advisor possible, right? Really important. And so there's a systematic approach to that after the conversation starts. I mean, Autumn is an excellent conversationalist once we're beyond the meat of the introduction and then getting into it. And then trying to turn that corner to book the appointment, which is clearly what everybody would love to happen, right? So that's what I'm after when I'm looking for that real meat of why are we going out to this house so that I know how to add value. So let's listen. I've got Neil Wayne T, it looks like. I have Owen Davis. I have Jerson Melgar, Terry Overstreet, or Jay Goldstein. Any of those in particular you'd like me to go after?
Overstreet was just the other day, and I thought I did okay. When I said go deeper, I think he means I wasn't really asking more detailed questions like I should have been. And so I started trying to keep them talking, asking, why do you think your home didn't sell? Those kind of questions.
Sure. Sure. So, okay, good. All right. So
I've got my notebook ready for your feedback because I know you'll have some for me.
yeah, you bet. Well, let's go right after this and let's take a listen into this one. I'm going to go to Overstreet. So Terry Overstreet, and here we go.
This is Terry.
Hey, Terry, it's Kayla with Egan Realty Group.
Hey, Kayla, how are you?
Hey, are you free for a moment now?
Yeah, I'm driving now, so if I'm hard to hear, I'm on speakerphone. I'm driving in the car.
Okay, that's no problem. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't interrupting anything. The reason I'm calling you, because I'm sure you're wondering why, is because I have seen your property, the Phoenix Hill property that you had on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was wondering, did that sell, or did you have a change in plans, or?
No, I took it off the market. Yeah, I had it on for a while, and then we changed our mind and took it off the market.
Okay, are you actually living in it, or did you have it rented, or?
We split our time between here and Florida, and we're here part of the year and they're part of the year. But no, we're not renting it. We're just
okay.
My son lives in it full time, and my wife and I are there part time. So.
Oh, okay. So you guys get away when the snow starts coming down.
Yeah. That's kind of the way it works.
That's a good thing. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you did have it on the market, can I ask, what do you think the reason was it didn't sell? Because it's beautiful property.
Well, we didn't have it. I think it's a specialty house. It's a pretty contemporary design, and so you know better than I that Louisville's a pretty traditional town, so I think that's a piece of it. It doesn't have a lot of. It's got a pretty big yard, but it's all wooded and hillside, so with a creek running, so it's beautiful. But if you have kids and a dog or something, it's not that kind of. It's not that kind of a yard, and a lot of people that commented felt like they were looking for something that had more usable yard space as opposed to a wooded area. And then the other and then the other piece was proximity to the highway. The houses got really good insulation. It's got real high end windows on it. It's got good sound insulation, but there were a number of people that felt like sitting on the deck, they were just concerned about the proximity to the interstate.
To the interstate. Okay. I understand all that. Yeah. Let me ask you this, if you don't mind. Where would you guys have gone to if they had sold? Did you have something else in mind for the time that you're in Louisville part of the year?
We don't have anything at this point. We're trying to, we're thinking we might purchase patio or condo, something downsized here, or we might invest with my son and help him get a place if he will carve us out a little room that we can stay in when we're here.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our broker, Chris Egan, would love to look at it if you were thinking you might consider putting it back on the market. Is that something you might consider down the road?
Yeah, let me think about that. If you want to maybe plan to check back with me, I need to talk to my wife's in Florida now. I'm here in Louisville.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But let me talk to her about that idea, putting it back on, and then maybe if you want to check back with me in maybe a week or so, or a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll do it in a couple weeks. That would be good. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and, if it's okay, I'll send you a packet in the mail as well, just with some other properties that were in that same price range that we have sold. And you can look at that in the meantime also, and then I'll just follow up with you. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate that. Of course, you have my address, so.
Yes, I do, yes. And you're very welcome. I'll follow up. I'll send that out in the mail to you, and I'll also give you a call in about 2 weeks, okay?
All right.
That way you'll have plenty of time to think about it and talk to your wife about it, because I know that's a big decision.
Yes, it is. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. When you hear it now played back to you, what do you think? What would you do differently?
I heard the first thing I thought was, I'm saying a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how many times.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So, well, first of all the things that we do when we're getting used to something in telemarketing or sales, they're almost like nervous reactions. You have a fabulously great laugh, but it comes over too much during the conversation. Okay. I mean, it's the best. I mean, I really enjoy hearing you laugh, actually. Right? I do, because I like a good laugher, right? But it becomes part and parcel of all these things I learned about a long time ago that somebody termed word whiskers, and they're not just words; they're also they're interferences with what you're trying to do, right? So, what the meat that's missing here? By the way, fabulous. I mean, good pace. You're enjoyable to listen to. So, I mean, we've been seeing this theme here lately with the folks that have offered up their calls. I'm enjoying listening to the tone, the camaraderie, the connection, but we have to be effective here. And so it's not about going deeper, because basically what's happened is you haven't been taught the offer. So, because I could hear that. Now, I want to, but before I go to the offer becomes everything. And in the right offer at the right time, there are multiple offers that we make throughout the course of conversion in this service business, okay? Multiple offers. So I think what happens is when you don't understand that from the very start, and he doesn't, Chris doesn't, he doesn't. I can just tell that he hasn't trained you on it, and that's why he's asking me to listen. I can see that your understanding of what we say to them is off, and it leaves your follow-up to be difficult. Okay? See, there was never any mention of what I'd like to do is send you out some information that will help you sell it the next time. It's completely missing. And in a world of content marketing, which we're finding, we were just talking about this morning, they love, quote unquote, our package that we send, is what Autumn told me this morning. That's the feedback that she's getting. And when they love it, it's a combination of its quality of production and its quality of information that supports what they need to do with their property if they decide to sell it. Right? So in other words, out goes the cover letter. You had part of it there, but it was wrong. I'm going to send you out some properties that we sold. That's so old school resume. Chris Kleba, who I think is watching on Facebook, he sent me something on recruiting. And it was the same head scratching thing. Well, he didn't write it, by the way. He was looking at it, laughing at it too. You can't sing the song me, 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 me. You just can't. It's irrelevant to people, right? Until it's relevant. I did have a guy that called me the other day and was asking me resume. I said, look, resume's not going to help sell the house. I can roll my resume down the street for you if you want. It's long, but let me come in the house first. Let me discuss the product. Let me discuss the process, and let me empower you with information. Then if you feel like we need to get into my resume, that's fine. So I've even changed my whole thinking to stop people from trying to even pepper me with it. Say, look, I have my resume is long enough, but that's not what's going to help you sell your house. I almost pattern interrupt them. And again, that's a level of confidence that I'm not suggesting you do in any case, but stop doing what you just did immediately. I will send you pictures of properties that we sold. And I have to break Chris out of that mentality, because if he told you to say that, it's absolutely wrong, because his portion of what he sold versus being hyper relevant with what's sold around them in the price range when they were trying to do so. You see what I'm saying? See the difference? If I send you the general market sales around you that sold when you sold, that's much more relevant, okay, than me sending you my resume-ish stuff, because that's the default you hear most agents go to. They start defaulting into this whole, well, I did this and I did this and that person doesn't do this. It's this weird defensive place. Now, you don't sound defensive at all. In fact, you have a beautiful tonality that is engaging and magnetic. You're just missing the right offer. Hey, look at what I'd like to, because the guy went off. You were so engaged. Your intro is a little bit sloppy to the extent that you're trying to be uber Kentucky polite. I get it. You got that way about you.
Can I tell you why on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I had actually already called him.
I thought so.
Earlier in the day, and that's why. Because I had accidentally interrupted he was doing a conference call or something for work, and that's why I said, is now a good time. I wouldn't normally say that.
I thought so, and I meant to ask you that before I went off on the offer, but the offer was so important I didn't want to miss it. So let's go there still. I would still, in spite of that, repeat my opening. Hey, so sorry that I bothered you earlier. It's Kayla calling from Egan Realty Group again. And remember, the reason I was calling is because we saw your beautiful home online and we saw that it expired. And I wanted to send you out some information that we thought would help you sell it the next time. May I do that? You could still repeat it, because as much as we don't want to act so familiar with people that we fall off into the poppy fields with Dorothy, right? And because we lose our way very quickly, okay? you wouldn't know this, but behind the scenes, when I was looking at my market update that I posted, there was one section that is supposed to be my opinion, my ad lib. And you can see how quickly I trip on a few of my own words, because in that moment of being so organized and then having to be unorganized, we get lost, right? So it's so hard to do this on the phone in such limited time, so that we leave ourselves in a position of follow-up that makes sense. You're creating a future opportunity for follow-up, and we don't want to miss that. And so forget the entry. That's fine. You get it. You get what I was saying. I'd still repeat the entry was my point. However, what I'm saying in addition to that, though, is that the offer is everything. So I wanted to send you some information that would help you sell it the next time. Okay? Because this guy is going to sell. He just went through it. It was stressful for he and his wife. See how he has to go back to her and ask her, geez, honey, you know, these nice people call me. What do you think about trying it again? See where I'm coming from? It's difficult as a process. And after somebody's failed and expired, it's difficult to get the energy up again. So we have to be that deliverer of hope. Look, we saw your beautiful home online, and we saw that it didn't sell. So we're going to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. And I'm exaggerating the point here because I want you to understand what I'm saying. I'm really saying to you that look, this is really all about you being confident that Chris can go in there and get this deal done for them. You're actually, if there's any such thing as a sale, and I don't think there is as much in the telemarketing, even though this is the sales training call, I think the invisible sale is the one that I'm most fond of, which means what? If we will provide so much information that is so helpful to them, that I think we're in great shape, right? You follow me? Right. I think we're in great shape. I think if you say, look, I have some information that will help you. And now that information is our strategy. It's the understanding to empower them to say, hey, look, I want you to get this. And we're not going to overly state it. I like what Autumn defaulted into after doing this enough times, which was, we're going to send you some information. Stop. There's no need for this big dissertation and explanation. And we heard that last week with my Canadian friends who are not on this week, but we heard it last week with them where they were going off into all this random selling on the phone, which I don't believe you can do. I think you can get an appointment which further explains the information. In other words, look, I'd like to send you out some information that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that? This guy would have said yes in a heartbeat to you, right? So now what goes out, and this is where Chris and Allison better understand this 100%, or I'm going to hit him with a taser, not her, him, right? A cover letter explaining, saw that the same things that you're saying in a telemarketing voice, saw that this happened to you. So we took the liberty to send you out this information. Some of the properties around you that sold when you didn't, and our 7 steps to success that we use to help our sellers. We'll be following up to see that you receive it. Now, some people will actually pick up the phone and call. Other people, most of them, have to be called, and that's your job. You're having to be the one that calls about this information that's being sent. So the best thing that you could do is have one of these packages, Kayla, sent to your home, so that you experience that moment when this comes to them. Read it thoroughly and say, if I were selling, would this be helpful to me? Because once you've experienced what goes there, your enthusiasm to get them to accept that information is everything. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, that does make perfect sense.
Yeah, because it is our strategy. In fact, now that they have that, your follow-up is logical. Hey, it's Kayla calling again. Just wanted to make sure you got the package. Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. Great. Do you have any time to take a look through it? Well, not really. Well, no problem. Just want to let you, make sure it came. Hey, by the way, Chris, I told Chris about the property too. He'd love to come out and take a peek. I know you and your wife are still talking about whether or not to sell it, but he'd love to come out and take a peek. He's always trying to see what's out there on the marketplace. Something like that is the conversational piece of it that I let you and Autumn read the situation. Is there an opportunity to have me, Chris, Gail, somebody come out and see the property? Not to give a listing presentation, not to tell them what to do, not yet. To just say he'd love to stop by and see the property for himself. Would that be possible?
Okay.
Now, if we go further, really what we're going to go out there and do is go through the very materials that we just mailed them. But we're going to do what? We're going to go a little bit deeper. So see, you are the generalist saying, look, we have this really helpful information that we think can help you. May I send it to you? That's permission marketing. There's nothing better when you get a yes to after you've asked permission to market them. Nothing better. Now, may I have Chris stop by to take a look at it? Now, Chris or Danny goes in the house, and now we take that whole package to another personalized level. Why? We're in the house. We can see where it's located. We can see who's around it. We can see what condition it's in, what features and benefits it offers. And we have some further math that will be more personal to helping them determine value. See, so all this process is about taking somebody deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the understanding about how to properly go through this process and what their property is really worth. It's all a refinement. So you have to see yourself as part of that entirety and not its individuality. Otherwise, that advice that you got, and I'm not beating Chris up, hurts you. Go deeper. Go deeper on what? What am I going deeper on? All I need to know is that we know that your house expired, and that you're going to hang on, and that you're going to allow me to send the information to you that's going to help you sell it, parenthetically next, with or without me. You have to be detached from that moment. You have to say, as a telemarketer, correct. As a telemarketer, you have to believe deeply that the owner, Griffin, Egan, really wants me to get this to you because it will help you. It's the real deal stuff. And it's personalized to you by showing you also what's sold around you when you didn't. Stage one. And you really want to be adept at getting that accomplished. I'll never forget when Autumn first started, I left them alone. I tried to stay away from the office, so I wasn't leaning on Laura and Autumn, and stayed away to see what would come up. And what came up was we got X number of packages out the door. That was my first discovery of the way the business wanted to find its own water level. Sometimes you have to get out of the way. So it found its own water level to go out and say to people, look, they want the package. Well, great. I spent years thinking about this package, trying to simplify it so that when it arrived at this person, it was helpful with or without me. No desperation that I needed to get into every single house, but just to put a positive footprint on the world of people who were thinking about buying or selling. Right? Mm-hmm. Critical. So there we go.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Hey, yeah. So really, what I meant by deeper was to prompt conversation to determine timing and motivation. Is in reference to a call that Kayla sent me towards the beginning of next week, where she was just getting a lot of yes, no answers, just a lot of one-word answers, and I was telling her to go deeper, try to prompt what the timing and motivation was to elicit conversation from them.
Sure. All right. What's a bigger deal, though? Here, let me just tell you. What's a bigger deal that's missing here is not that. I get that. That's a subtlety. No big deal. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't an overarching problem. The bigger deal here is she's not connected to the offer. She's not clear about what the offer is, right? So as a telemarketer, she's been asked to show up here and interfere with these people's lives, and she better have a good offer for them, right? You're interfering with their lives. You better be relevant and make a good offer for having interfered. And that's the extreme, dissertation, but it's true.
It's true.
Go ahead. You want to weigh in? Come on.
Overstreet wants to talk to somebody.
Okay,
He liked your persona, Kayla. and you had a rare person there. Now, he was a wonderful practice call for you to just talk real estate and get some feedback and see how people talk about it, you know, the client, potential client. It was a wonderful practice call, and I agree with Danny that you really do have what it takes as far as voice, pacing, personality, charismatic. You know, people do want to talk to you, but he's unusual because most people are going to get off the phone as fast as they can, because what you and I will never be able to change, Kayla, is that we are strangers calling their house. It's like someone door knocking. So we have to be very respectful of that and come bearing the gift right up front. You know, my feeling was just that because you didn't really know and you weren't connected to the offer, you kind of did the phone call backwards. And that's okay, because you had the components. You just had them in the wrong places. Like at the very end of a 5-minute conversation, which is long in telemarketing, we're offering to send the package, sort of like, well, you know,
Right.
if you're going to ask your wife, you know, sort of like as an afterthought. And that kind of should have been right up front.
Yeah, not kind of should have.
Okay.
I 100% believe that the intro now for most calls, and I've been working at this for many, many years, only to find out that that initial beat, you can get this in pretty smoothly. Hi, Kayla, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. The reason I'm calling is because I saw your beautiful house online and I saw that it didn't sell.
Boom, they're interested.
So I want it, right, because why? Why are they interested? Because you triggered them. Because you referenced their beautiful home online.
Right, boom.
And
interest.
context, I saw that it didn't sell.
Boom.
Not all this language, it expired and all this. Nope, just I saw your beautiful home online. I saw that it expired. So I wanted to send you some information.
That will help.
Curiosity, okay?
Boom.
When you start saying information, I have curiosity now. I've provoked curiosity. So number one, you've complimented me via my house, okay? Number two, you've given me context as to why you're calling about that house. Number three, you're now offering, hear me say that, offering, the offer. I am offering to send you information that will help you sell it the next time. And again, like I said, in the mindset, parenthetically, I want you to remember, with or without Chris. With or without Chris. You have to be detached in that initial phase from that outcome. Of course, I understand that we're hoping to get in these houses. I get it. But 100%, we are trying to back off of that, you know, what we sound so desperate. So if everybody that does any telemarketing wants to differentiate and sound differently from everybody else, be detached from the outcome, and very quickly, hey, Kayla, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. Saw your beautiful house online, and I noticed that you're trying to sell it by yourself. So I wanted to send you some information that'll help you do that. May I help you? That's the FSBO version. Probate. Kayla, it's Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. I noticed that you were the administrator of the estate of Sally. And so I wanted to help you some information that will help you get through that process. May I do that? Boom, boom, boom. Every single context you can come up with. The idea is to arrive in this interruptive moment with absolutely as much value as you can pack into 4 lines. Right?
Okay.
So over time, and also to speak conversationally, right? It's just, but these are also, look, we can't, as telemarketers, we can't be delusional that triggers don't work. If I compliment you on your house and I then subsequently recognize your context, those are 2 beats that are all about you, not me. Immediately.
Look at this
They're all about you, the other end of the phone, which is the whole premise of this story brand formula where you are not the hero. Chris is not the hero. We are the guides. And again, if you're a truly altruistic person for others, which I think is the foundational requirement here, you must be disconnected that way. I want to benefit the world by bringing out this stuff to them, whether they choose me or not. Now, the irony is, that is the most powerfully effective magnetic telemarketing methodology there is. So it's the law of reciprocity. It allows you to draw them in through this gift giving, and it attracts the people who resonate with it, and it detracts the ones who don't.
Right.
So it's its own filter system. right? It's its own culling system,
Okay.
which is really important. But the offer, the offer, the offer, the offer, the offer, the offer. If you don't remember what your role is and what offer you're making, that's where you practice the most. And I think when you personally get that rhythm down, I think the extra laughs where they don't belong and the extra words where they don't belong go away naturally. And a natural laugh, when he says something funny or something funny comes up, then that killer laugh that you have is oh my gosh, it's so effective.
Yeah.
Right? It's so effective because it's real. I got a real glimpse into who you are, what kind of hearted person you are. But if your laugh becomes a nervous reaction to these pregnant pauses where you don't know what to say next, it's an interferent. It's crazy how quickly that can happen too, right? It can go from it can go from being your asset to really not, to harming you.
Yeah.
That help?
Okay. Yes, that does help. And I can already, just from this, I know that I think I've been asking too much before I get to the offer of the packet. So I need to switch that up and do that in the beginning.
Right up front.
I've definitely not been doing that.
Yeah, right up front. And it would have fixed the call back. Hey, by the way, Passion, if you're there, Passion on Will Daly's team, be ready for me next, please. So one of the things I really wanted to say there is, I love who you are, so don't go changing that. It is so, I think, no, honestly, and I mean that, I'm not a patronizer. I just had this vision for this Kentucky Belle and the way that you talk. And I just thought it was so geographically appropriate.
Yeah, it was really nice.
You come out of Central Casting for Kentucky, right?
You really,
you really do. You are my vision for a voice that is Kentucky authentic. And I mean that. I'm I'm extremely visual. So as I was listening to you, I'm trying to see myself riding along this beam of light, trying to figure out the theory of relativity in Kentucky, saying, oh my gosh, that's exactly who I would expect to hear. But if it gets sloppy, meaning these pregnant pauses in it, then it sounds silly almost. And that's not you, right? And this would be, look at, the same critique to us in the Northeast would be, if we have those pregnant pauses, you might hear an FU or two, right? So in every part of the country, it's different. So whatever that where it's not tight and it's not clear, or concision is the word we love around here. If it's not concise and clear and all those moments, see, what you're doing is laughing into moments to edit them, to string them together. But if you can find a better rhythm, they go away and everything shortens too. That happened with Dave a couple of weeks ago up in Canada, where we listened to his. Everything was too long because what he was doing is where he got lost, he was filling it with needless conversation that was confusing the consumer. So the phone is the most difficult skill set, right? Because you have this window where they can feel less obligated to be nice to you. Whereas when they see you in the house, they have to patronize you more. So the telemarketing job is the more difficult part of this, right? Make sense?
Right, yes.
But bravo, love you.
Hey, Danny?
Yeah, go ahead. Who's that?
Can I ask it's Terry.
Terry, go ahead.
Quick question, as far as, because I'm super new to the whole expired thing too.
Yes.
Where do y'all go when it comes to people that say that they have rented it out?
Yeah, that I'd still send the package. I'd still say, well, in the case that you might want to sell it down the road, I'd like to get this package in your hands because it'll definitely help you do that the next time. May I do that? I'd still go for it, Terry. I'd still follow through because look, Autumn and I were talking about this. The other thing is I know the pressure, and this is why I really spent a lot of time with all of the telemarketer inside salespeople in this group. I know the pressure you're under. I know the pressure you feel. I know the pressure all us knucklehead, team leaders put on you because sometimes we're so far off from what you do. But I've started to now bridge that gap and say, I get it, but I don't want you under that pressure. I want you to be thorough and effective. I don't want you to get so soft that you don't ask for an appointment where there is one. But what I do want is you to understand people do those types of things. And if we can still make that connection and we can still put them on the radar, Well, how long did you rent it for? Oh, really? Oh, 6 months? Yeah, that's not too long. Great. Well, I'd still like to get this package in your hands because it'll definitely help you sell it the next time. May I do that? Great, wonderful. So let me do it. Good. You get this. We'll keep you up to date on the market. If you'd like, I can keep you up to date on, you can make a second offer there. So, but whatever, just get the dang package in the hand and make that follow-up call because now you found out how long they rented it for. So there's nothing wrong with putting those seeds in the database and knowing that those seeds are going to get watered. Hey, Terry, these days, with what we're all learning about Facebook marketing to warm those audiences, I mean, just getting that relationship, if you're asking me as a team leader and an owner, I want you to get that relationship, get that package in their hand, because that changes the relationship with that person, right? If we hear, oh gosh, this is not one of those things, I can't turn to Karen and say, I got you an appointment. This is 12 months out. If you get that mindset, we all get hurt. Not that you would get it and you're asking the question, so thank you for asking it. But I think that relationship changes the minute you get that package in their hands. And now your follow-up in 6 months when the lease runs out has even deeper context. You're not, oh, who are you? Oh, you only called me. You made it physical, right? You got a physical 3D package kinesthetically in their hands. You changed the relationship. And then, of course, if you can ever get Karen to stop by, now you've changed it to an even deeper level. So that's the whole premise of working through this process is we want to get deeper and deeper and deeper, because what you're doing is you're ingratiating yourself with those people who are becoming less likely to seek others for guidance. I call it a competitionless vacuum if you get in real deep. By then, the law of reciprocity is so locked in, it's very rare that people will even interview anybody else at that point. Right? So that's where the follow-up in the database becomes so critically important. Remember, you've been around long enough to hear me talk about DPPO 20, which was sort of a best practices thing I developed. And the D was database. Okay. And that meant what you and Kayla and Autumn are all doing is you're trying to create relationships to get them in my database so that subsequently the follow-up phone calls can happen where true relationship is built over time until it's appropriate to go there. Okay, does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, though. So don't try to do too much in the first call if it's not there. If it is, get us in. All right.
Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of rentals. That's why I asked.
Yeah, we see that. But just keep going, because if you got a lot of rentals, then that means you're calling into an older, expired list, which is fine because I think there's a lot of gold there. But I think when you catch up into the rhythm of that, there'll be a balance because you'll be getting people that just came off the market and they haven't made that decision yet. So be cognizant of that too. It's how long have they been expired, right? Because a lot of people, we had somebody that moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and they expired. We call them. They also had done a rental. Good news for us, it was a summer rental. So we were able to go in there and we sold it in one of the turnover days last week. So there's some stuff like that is out there too. But the key is don't be disheartened. That's a building database moment. And Terry, I know you. You get on that phone. They like you, right? They like you.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Passion, are you there? Do I have you?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good.
Is it too loud where I am?
Yeah, it's a little bit loud, but I'm going to tolerate it because I want to hear from you. You've been on for a while here. Any thoughts about what you heard there?
One second. I'm moving to a different area.
Okay, all good.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I don't hear anybody in the background anymore.
Okay, perfect.
What are your thoughts about that? Any thoughts?
Oh, no, I wasn't able to hear you. What was the question?
No, I was just saying, any thoughts about what you've been listening to so far with that recorded call and making the offer?
Well, my thoughts is she has a wonderful voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think I've just been pretty much saying the script of what you've been saying. So I haven't been opening up the door to answer all those questions because I don't really know the answer.
Sure.
So I just been pretty much saying, sending out the packet and going straight into the offer.
Great. Um, any big challenges that you found so far that I could deal with?
Actually, not at all. Pretty much everyone that I've spoke to, they've allowed me to send the package out to them. I haven't got any not interested
Great.
or any no's yet.
Great.
The only thing that I had questions about is I've done the whole
so don't try to do too
list
much
of
in
the
the first call if
expires,
it's not there. If it is,
and I'm running into a lot of do not call, like a lot now.
okay.
Like, what are we doing
Well,
to
here's my thought about do not.
contact those?
Well, here's my thought about do not calls. I'm not of the mindset that we're soliciting anything, especially with this technique and tactic. And I believe that these people genuinely need help. I think call them up, saw it online. May I send this? If they don't want to hear from you again, then say no problem. Take you off the list. No problem. I would just be cordial.
Okay, perfect.
My personal thought about the do not call list is that when everybody was able to begin robocalling and soliciting people for something where there was no context, I think that makes sense to me. But when there are people generally out there that haven't been able to sell their house and they want to make a move, to me, that's a distress situation. And if I can just tell you I'm sending you something and try, not do too much more than that, I think that's fair game, right?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I just let it rip. And again, just be respectful. If somebody wants to be taken off a list, say absolutely no problem.
That's right.
No problem. No problem at all. Sorry to bother, and move along, because we're dealing from a position of plenty. And look, I always use this weird analogy, but I'll give it to you now. What I want us all to imagine, and especially the telemarketers in the group, I want you to imagine that you really have. And that's why I made a big deal with Caleb. You really have the goods that can help somebody. It's like a first aid kit. When I first started developing my approach to expireds, I had this sense of a first aid kit. And so if you think that there's 7 steps and some of the houses and the warm up and the way that you do things is really a first aid kit, wouldn't you want to get that to somebody who's wounded? I almost felt like there was a moral obligation, knowing what I know, to get it in somebody's hands, whether they decide to use me or not. Presuming I can't go broke doing it. I'm not a 503c charity, right? So, but the point is, in my area, if I know something that could help somebody, I'm going to go out of my way to do that. So if you want to reject my help, it's like this. Imagine that you're a nurse and you've been trained to be a nurse and you have this bag under your bed. One day you hear this plane crash in your backyard. You run out to the backyard and you see that there are all people strewn all over the ground. Okay. And all alive, but struggling. You reach under the bed, you grab your nurse's kit and you run out. And the first person you happen upon is a big burly 300-pound lineman that plays football. And you say, hold on, can I help you? And he says, screw you, get away from me. Can't you just see I'm in a plane crash, right? Do you turn around and walk back into your house, lock the door and put your first aid kit under the bed? Of course not. You go to the next person who says, oh, thank God you just showed up, and you help. So you can't help everybody. And even if you have the goods to save somebody's life, you're going to get rejected anyway. And I know that's a dramatic demonstration, but I think it's a good place to put your feet under you to persevere through the challenges, because what we do have is helpful. And in an industry that is undertrained to help people, I don't believe that's the situation right here. And I don't believe that we can't help everybody, because I go in houses and I help them and I see the look in their face. And it was only an hour ago, 2 hours ago, I was sitting in a house and I saw the changed look on their faces from when I started to when I finished. And it's what I teach every week. The simplest things, right? The 7 steps to success with an indulgence about the math. And they were empowered. There's no decision going to be made there. It's a probate. They have time. There's a brother involved. There's a sister involved. And I said, look, she said, I don't want to, mislead you. I said, look it, you didn't mislead us on anything. We knew exactly what we were coming into. We're a resource to empower you to make a decision. In fact, when I leave, the next thing is I'll have Autumn set you up to continue to receive information about the value of the property, because that's my job here, to bring it to you as the administrator of the estate. So I lived out precisely what I teach in real life. And I know that I left those people empowered today. I know I did. So whether they use us or not in the end, whether they sell it or not in the end, they are firmly in control of information that empowers them and makes their life a little bit easier. That's a really gratifying feeling. And done enough times, you begin to get the listings. We have one. It's under agreement. We're close to a second one. Both of those people, one, they're desperate to sell it. They've already moved. They're gone. They're never coming back here. They've already moved. And they are ecstatic that we're this far along this quickly. The next people, it's tough. It's emotional. He put his heart, these are his words, his heart and soul into this thing. But when I sat them both down for the second time, because I had to go out there 2 times, I saw the look in his wife's eyes, worried that this was too much house for them, and that before he got too old to build their next one, they wanted to take care of it. I saw it in front of my own face. I get the chills just talking about it. That's why I do what I do. I am emotionally attached to the people. Now, having said that, I can think of 3 or 4 people that rejected my help, or even when they let me start, they didn't listen to me. I have a tough one going on right now. It's really, really emotional. I have to stay perseverant and patient because I know he's scared to move on with the next piece of his life. So this is very, very heavy stuff at its core. And I know that. I'm not a theoretical teacher from some mountaintop. I am sitting right down in the mud with these people, going through their emotions with them. And over all of that hammering away, I have chunked up what I believe is a compass, right? The system that we give them. I want you to believe that. Oops.
Hey, Danny.
Turn down your speaker there, whoever that was. Yeah, go ahead.
Danny, it's Will. I jumped on Passion's call real quick.
Go ahead, buddy.
Sorry, I got to get going, but I had a quick question.
Shoot.
We're getting a lot of bad data using the Red X, a lot of wrong numbers, bad numbers, disconnected numbers. Has anyone else had experience between the 2 databases, Red X and Vulcan 7?
Vulcan, I found personally to be far better data, but I'm about to point to Autumn and say she has Fast People Search on a tab open all the time. Yeah. So as long as she gets the information of the people, she goes to Fast People Search, and I'm going to let her take it from there, Will.
Yeah, Will, Vulcan 7 is what I use, and I was just laughing with Laura a couple days ago. I said, I don't know where Vulcan 7 gets their phone numbers. So if I come up against bad data, i.e. phone numbers, I go right to Fast People Search. That is in my bookmark on my bar, my tab bar. And every morning I have Fast People Search open. It's free. If the numbers don't match that I get from Vulcan 7 to the client, I type the client's name in, I put in their city and state, and I get those numbers. And those are most often the correct numbers. Also, the address, it goes for the address. You don't want to be sending out packages into outer space. Oftentimes, you can find the correct address on Fast People Search. There's dates of where they've lived at each property, etc. I have found it to be 97% foolproof so far. So if you're not using Fast People Search, you need to put that into your daily regimen. Don't worry about Vulcan and what they're throwing up to you, because oftentimes their information with phone numbers is not that great.
That help, Will?
It's not that great. Okay.
Will?
Thank you.
Okay, I guess.
Will left.
Yeah, okay. All good. Perfect. Well, there you go. And again, it's a good point. When you are trying to do telemarketing or direct mail marketing, good information matters. And that's why we're always trying to, push that agenda. All right. All right. It got noisy where you guys are, so I'm going to put you on hold. Bravo, Passion. Good stuff. Would love to hear some recordings from you at some point. It's so much better when it's real and I hear both sides. All right, let's switch gears here. We have a little bit more time. Let me hear from outside sales or my mastermind members. Anybody in the mastermind want to have a question answered regarding what you heard here today to help you manage your telemarketer or manage your own effort? Let me hear from you now. Outside sales and mastermind members.
Hey, Danny.
Yes, go ahead, Tanya.
Just a quick question. Earlier, after the call, you were mentioning about what you send. You don't send resumes. Do you send any info about you or your brand in your package, or is it just the seller? booklet and infographic?
Well, that's interesting you ask that. I'm going to give you the answer the way it is, but the way that I probably see its evolution, as I was talking to Autumn today about evolving. I'm always trying to evolve my package to be the best it can be. Paul, I see your message. I will check if you are muted. There was a loud Washington mic, so I'll check that. Hang on, Tanya. Paul, is that you? I unmuted a mic. Is that you? Paul.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, good. All right, hang on. Let me deal with Tanyelle, and then I'll come to you. All right. So Tanyelle, as you know, I want you to learn to be the next Hemingway of marketing materials, meaning what? Less is more. Simple is better. Having said that, I want you to think of the Einstein theory of simplicity. Also, there's the Occam's razor. Okay, Occamrazor. If you Google that on Wikipedia, you'll see what it is. The simplest solution is oftentimes the best. But in Einstein's version of that, you don't want to make it too simple where you leave something out. I have been getting several questions about resume. So I've been slow to do that because I don't want it to be a me. I may have to put something in there, but I'm going to be really slow to do it. In fact, I might put something in there that refers them to a place online where I house my resume or the highlights thereof, right? So, I have a really extensive resume, but if I drone on about that, I don't want that. But if you need to know it, I probably need to be prepared to send you to a link or give you a link. So I don't. To the extent that we put some sold pictures in, that's the resume that I want you to see. I want you to see some of my featured properties that we've sold. So that would be the extent of it. Could you put a letter from Tanyelle, the owner, about her philosophy quickly? Sure. Right? It's an about page that's put into your materials, Tanyelle, when it's done with class. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense.
So take a crack at it when you and I chat next week on the helpline or a call. I'll take a look at it with you. But I ask my mastermind members like you to stick to the yellow brick road for the moment because it's highly effective at the moment. We are here, and I say at the moment because I'm always trying to see where it's going to move next. It is 100% working in a very highly effective way right now. Yes, Autumn?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because Autumn's getting the feedback.
Yeah, I'm getting the feedback that the package is very beautifully put together.
Yeah. That
they're kind of stunned. And this is from very wealthy people. I'm surprised. A lot of wealthy people elude me because, I'm talking the 4 millions. They, I think, are networked in and they have friends and blah, 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 who they want to sell their home. But this was a very wealthy woman, and she said she was very impressed. And when they put the house up, she'll call me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to be patient with it too. And I think that's the key, that I was talking about before. If it tells your story, look at Tanyelle, from the websites to the direct mail to the telemarketing message. Look at, I spend a lot of time with the telemarketers here. And if you're doing it yourself, why? That is the formal presentation of who you are, and you're being judged on your professional approach. So if we can relate it all together so it's smooth, so that no matter where they go, it's a consistent message, that's the best positioning. Just don't lose our way that it's about them, and the information that arrives on all those mediums has to be about them. If they then want to indulge at the next level, sure, they'll Google you, they'll Facebook search you, LinkedIn search you, they'll look for you. I think there needs to be a consistency there, but not an overindulgence, even so, right?
Yep, I got it.
Awesome. Bravo. Because you're great at materials like that, so you'll get it. You're welcome. All right, outside sales. Paul, you want to say something?
Yeah, Danny, I've got some new agents on some new agents that joined our firm in the last month or so on the call, and they're all endeavoring to do some ISA work, within our CRM that has, as you know, a bloated number of maybe 16K peoples.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know who exactly is on, because I'm sorry for not being on at the beginning. I got jammed up with a client on the phone unexpectedly, but I know that Katie might be on here. Elvis might be on here, and Jennifer might be on here. So if any of you guys are on here and you want to say hi to Danny, introduce yourself, and maybe do, if you're comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, that should be an indication. To step up, say hi.
Hang on. Okay. Sorry, somebody was interfering. Anybody on Paul Cantu's team? I opened up all the mics that have a Washington extension. Anybody Paul's team here?
Yeah, this is Katie.
Hi, Katie. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, one of the questions that I was going to ask is, what is this packet that you guys are speaking of? I have a general idea of what is possibly in it.
Sure.
But I mean, is this multi-page information?
Hang on.
Is
Fantastic.
it what format is it in?
Sure.
Is it easily digestible? Is it more of an infographic kind of thing?
Fabulous. Good instance.
And Paul was saying that having gone through it and done some calls so far, there are a ton of people on there, and there's a lot of 6 months to 2 year folks where some of these leads are like 3 years old and they're like, no, we want to wait. And now, anyway, moving on. How in depth are these packets, and what is your?
I got you. Let's start here.
Ratios.
I got you. Some of the foundation. Great question, by the way. Fabulous question. And so you're going to be made aware of a call that I wished we had hammered you guys onto yesterday, because you would have seen it. So the campfire is the call that benefiting you. We go over the 7 points to helping a seller, the 6 points to helping a buyer, and then the third rotation is the agent plan to help you organize your own book of business as a business, not a job. So the greatest question you asked me was, how many pages is it an infographic? It's both. In its skeletal form, the simplest explanation, which I'm a huge fan of, to be able to say it in its simplest form, is an infographic. Paul has those. And Paul, it's time to make those into business cards for your team members, similarly to the way you do with the market report. So that, Katie, you should be able to walk in anywhere, anytime with an infographic and be able to fully articulate to a seller a process that you will take them through. Same thing for a buyer.
Yeah, I've got that infographic. So I can just
all right, so
turn
you've
that
answered
into one of those trifold brochures or something.
Nope, you've answered your own question. But secondly, a deeper dive into it, there is a full-blown booklet that further articulates each point. So, for example, if you have those infographics and you have 7 points, there's about 4 points in depth beneath each one of those. Okay, I say about because I think one has 5 or 3 or whatever it is, right? So beneath each one of those 7, there is a booklet that more fully articulates those points. So I'm referring to that. So when we, but again, context matters. If I just simply need the quick dissertation, I'm going to give that. But see, remember, when I'm mailing something to a seller who I've spoken to, or Autumn has spoken to more appropriately on the phone, is that we want them to know what we're sending. And we go for, because they've never met us, we need the biggest impact in that moment in time. So we're going to send a cover letter, that's a form letter, that explains what's in there. We're going to send the booklet form, which is in magazine quality copy, that fully articulates who we are. The system, the 7 points. And then in addition to that, we give them kind of more so what they want, which are pictures and details of properties that's sold in their price range. That's how that works. So they're getting a cover letter. They're getting comps that probably are, how many pages would you say, to 5 or so? We don't give them too many comparables, but we give them a lot of pictures and a lot of detail on the 5 that are in their price range. How many do we do front and back on those?
We do front and back.
3 pages
I would
to
say
5.
It's 5.
Yeah, so 5 pages deep on that. So 1 for cover, 5 two-sided, so really only 2 or 3.
Exactly.
Right?
No, they get like 4 sometimes.
Okay. So no, I said 2 or 3 pages deep if it's two-sided.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, something like that. Let's round it up. Call it 5. There's 6 pages. And then the magazine booklet has, probably 2 pages per. So it's about 16 pages total for a magazine. But it's a standalone item. You could drop it on a coffee table and it would look good. And that was the premise. So when this all goes together in a package and it arrives at a seller's house, it has some weight to it. And the idea is when somebody sees that you took the time and effort to send a package like that, it is the ultimate business card, right? That's its intent, is that it changes the perception and the relationship with that potential seller prospect. So it's important. However, when I go to the house, let's talk about the gear shift in materials, because you're asking a good materials question. We don't make it up every time. It's the same thing. So I have a black folder that I'm looking at a couple over there waiting for me this afternoon. I have a black folder where inside there, I also have, and Paul's probably shown you this too, and if he hasn't, he will. It's an infographic on the market update. Then beneath that is the 7-point infographic. Beneath that is a further 3-point marketing infographic, because a lot of people ask me more questions about that. And that's it. And on the other side, is the way that I do the CMA with a technical analysis on it. That's it. So there's no need for the book, because now I'm in presentation mode. And the simplest presentation is the best one. So I'm going to keep it simple now that I've made it that far upstream. I don't want them having to really ask a lot of questions after. I want the simplest piece at that point in time. Does that help?
Yep. I just wanted to clarify what materials you guys were sending out. I have seen all the ones that the Cantu group has with the infographic market stats and the buyer and seller program, if you will. So.
Well, that's foundational and really, really important for you, all your outside agents, to get down. Because when you're calling, I don't care how old the leads are or what orientation they are, buyer or seller, it is critical that you are well rooted in the fact that Cantu Group is a guidance service, that we see everybody as the hero, meaning the buyer who's looking for first-time home, the luxury buyer, they're all the hero of your story. So you need to know the context when you call. First-time home buyer, internet inquiry, what are they? Hey, I saw that you were looking at properties on our website about 6 months ago, and I was calling to see, did you, if you ever bought anything, right? Did you end up buying anything? Because we need to clean up the database first so we can cut to the chase, because we already have context. You came in, you were using our website, and I saw that you were still active in there. Did you ever buy anything? Great. Would you mind?
Hey, Danny.
Hang on 1 second. And would you mind if I sent you out some further information? Whatever. You can take it from there. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, what I want to do is maybe not just to my team, but to any team leaders that have agents that are calling older leads. I want to give them a shot in the arm, because in the last 2 days, and Voltaire can testify to this, I set 3 CMA appointments, 3 listing appointments, one Wednesday, Thursday, one Friday next week. These leads, they came in, one was 2012, one was 2011, 12, anyway, long story short, 13 and 14. And one was an AMS lead, our old editorial style ads. One was an HBN lead. Remember when Sync was doing those distress sale ads? Yeah. And one was a past client. Sold him a home in 2011 or 12, and then he sold it with Redfin in 2016, and came back to me yesterday and said, hey, I did buy a house in Linwood. We didn't even discuss the fact that he sold his house through Redfin and bought it with someone else. We didn't even discuss it. And it's my bad, because I probably wasn't keeping in touch with him proper. But it's like, some of these leads, if the team leader or whomever has incubated them properly and has done all the follow-up for years upon years upon years, if I break you off, or the team leader breaks off a chunk of 100 or 50, they're worth calling. There's gold somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And I got 3 listing appointments for next week between whenever Voltaire flew in, with Wednesday and today, or Wednesday and yesterday. So It's just, it's motivational to have those successes when sometimes you're calling stuff and you're like, oh, damn, this this thing's been in here for 5 years. And like, no, but that's a good thing sometimes, you know?
Look at it.
So
look at the best practices from a database is what I've always espoused here, right? The D and the DPPO 20, which you were familiar with back in the day. Your intent is to be able to build a database that's segmented. Look, at the mastermind level, of course, we all plead guilty and we continue to segment these lists and have more appropriate messaging going to them as they move along where they're at. But if you're new and you have access to 16,000 names, absolutely, it's an opportunity. Anybody who answers the phone to be, of service and to be able to engage in conversation with them about real estate is what this business is all about. If you're new to the business and trying to build a book of business, the number one thing I recommend is the number of conversations. How many conversations did you have this week about real estate with anybody? And when you just call a volume of people that had context at one point in time, it's inevitable that you're going to have those types of conversations. So look, the intent is, and look, here's one of the things that I take umbrage with, and I know Autumn does. People answer the phone. Don't tell yourself a story that they don't. They answer the phone. Okay. And that's just a numbers game. You have to try at different times of the day from different phone numbers. Sure, those are technique and tactic, but people answer the phone. And if your introduction is appropriate and not over the top about you, people will indulge you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they will. They will. Because I can tell you, here we are on this ugly East Coast where everybody's short with each other. I have met more nice people. I said to Autumn today, I can't believe I went out to yet another house where these people were so pleasant and so appreciative of what we did. I loved my job. I loved it. And it's why I do it. So I think you have to have faith that there are wonderful people out there. But I will tell all you marketers, team leaders, you better be careful of what you're putting in your database. Stop going down to the bottom of the basement, right? Stop. There are plenty of people at the median number and above that want genuinely good help. And like Autumn said, appreciate a professional approach. Mm-hmm. So positioning, I'm going to end this where I started this. Position yourself as the professional. So most important thing in marketing, positioning. Before you get on to all this technique and tactic, well, I read this script. Well, great. What's it sound like on the other side? Is a consumer ingratiated? Are they feeling thrilled that you were there or not? Stop getting high on your own supply, right? Tony Montana was, warned to that. And you know what happened to Tony in the end, right? So the point is you have to be of service to people, whether they use you or not. Always. If you are of service to people and detach from the outcome because you leave them better, I'm telling you, it flows because it's flowing for us, and I do it every day. All right, enough of me. You all go out and practice this stuff. I want more recordings, and I want more anecdotes. I would have loved to heard more on the outside sale. If somebody speaks up earlier in the call, we'll do half and half, okay? So thank you, everybody, for participating. Good work to all those who sent me some stuff, and I'll be looking forward to next week's call.
And notes are up.
Notes are up. Take care.
Thanks.
You bet.
Danny.
You're welcome, all. You're welcome.